Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, one of the things I've said that I think is a big part of our fishing lore, of fishing information, is stories. And a few weeks ago, I told you a story about one of my many fishing trips where the engine in the plane quit. And what that was all like for me and how that has become a memory that's entrenched in my brain. Well, I want to tell you another story today about a time. And I remember back, my great friend Louis Barkley, who passed away a while back and was a big loss to our area and to me. But I invited Louis to go on a fishing trip with me into northern Ontario to Kasagami Lodge. And it's a lake that is dedicated to catch and release for really big northern pike. When you go to a water like that, that's in the northern part of our continent, that's wild, you got to fly to get in there. You have a chance of catching some of these really big fish, and so that was the lure. That was the attraction to get there. But the story that I remember, the experience of that trip, wasn't about big northern pike that we caught, and I don't know if we caught any big ones. But here is the story, and I'll remember it the rest of my life. And I'm telling you this because fishing makes these stories possible. Anyway, Louis and I, it was a windy day, and we had I think that it was the Cree Indians that were part of that, but we had a guide, and we were fishing in a 20-foot dugout canoe that really can take a lot of really rough water. Anyway, we were at the end of this lake. We hadn't been catching much. And I said to Louis, I said, look at those cattails. They're right in the end. It's kind of marshy down here. I said, I'll bet there could be some northerns in this area. Let's go up close to shore and start casting into the edge of those cattails and see what happens. So we get about 20 or 30 feet from shore, and we're casting and looking and waiting. And all of a sudden, out of what appears to be nowhere, this giant form rises out of the cattails. It was a giant black bear that had been squatted down in the cattails. We didn't know it was there. It's only 20 or 30 feet from our boat, and up it comes and stands on its hind legs, doesn't make a sound, and starts looking first at Louis and then at me, and it's just staring at us. And whatever it thought, whatever it decided, just as eerily as it rose from the depths, it started to squat back down. And eventually, it just disappeared back down into nowhere. And Louis looked at me and I looked at him and we were speechless. And then we started laughing. What has just happened? It was like a bear and a jack-in-the-box. All of a sudden, the box sprung open and up comes the bear. And for years, Louis and I talked about that day. We had no idea what we had just seen other than we knew it was a black bear. It didn't growl. It didn't make a sound. It didn't run away. It just squatted back down and disappeared in front of us. And it's something that I will never forget. I can't explain it, but I can tell you that it made our trip because, yes, we may have forgotten about the pike, but we'll never, ever, and wherever Louis is right now looking down, smiling at me, telling our story, we'll never forget that black bear. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.